I still remember the first time I ever hit 10K in a month in my agency. Feels like it was yesterday. And it was a February. It was cold. I was at my girlfriend's place. I'd hopped off a sales call and been like, man, like, holy shit, I actually did it. Finally. There was so much work involved. It was a pretty challenging thing. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my entire life, hitting 10K per month or 10K in a month for the first time. And what I had expected it to be like when I hit 10K per month, I think I had a pretty good idea of how it was going to go, but there were some unexpected things. And so initially, I get off my sales call and I'm damn, I did it, right? Not, the first place where I was right was I didn't expect, you know, confetti to start flying everywhere and everything like that. But it was kind of just like, I don't know, there's this wave, this relaxation that went over me for a minute. Um, I felt like I could finally relax in a way. I had always heard that hitting 10K in a month was the hardest part in business. In my opinion, hitting 5K in a month is the hardest part, but 10K is very hard as well. But that was just my experience. Either way, I was pretty right about that, but I had also expected there to be some euphoria, and we can get into that in a little bit. But that same day, right, after I hopped off that call, that's what happened. I remember, so I build, collect, get custom mechanical keyboards. So I have like four of them right now. I'm building my fourth one at the moment. It's a key cult. If any of you guys are into mechanical keyboards, I got a key cult. It's like a $700 keyboard plus the rest of the parts, like $1,000 keyboard basically, just to type on and work on. And these things resell for like 2 grand. It's wild. Just bone stock, just the case, not even the keycaps or the switches or anything. But either way, I thought, okay, I'll treat myself, right? I was looking to build a custom keyboard. It was called the Mercutio. It was a 40%. And so I'd gone ahead and built it. And there was another one that I wanted. So I had this Game Boy Color. When I was 3 years old, my cousin gave me a Game Boy Color. It was the purple translucent one. You can Google that if you want to know what I'm talking about. I had one of those with Pokemon Silver. That was the first video game I ever played. Fell in love with Pokemon, video games, everything like that from when I was 3 years old. This was in like 2002 because I'm almost 25 now. I know I'm old, but I wanted to build another keyboard that was this translucent purple. It was an NK65. Put gray keycaps on it, blanks, make it look just like one of those Game Boys, right? And I would get a Pokemon Silver keycap and make that my escape key. And I really wanted to do that also. And I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do both. Like, I can afford it. I can afford the, several $100s that both of those costs combined. I was like, let's do it. And I bought them. And what happened from buying those things, these things that I wanted, was I was like, in a way, I kind of regretted it. I was like to this day, like they just kind of sit on my dresser. Like that's all they were meant to do. They weren't meant to be something that I was going to use, but I had this plan of making a backdrop behind my setup for my camera and my calls and stuff, but I never did that. And so now they just sit on my dresser. But to me, they're still special because they were my gift to myself after I had done 10 grand in a month for the first time in my life. So that was pretty cool, and I still have those. And there was some euphoria. I mentioned before, I expected there to be some amount of euphoria in this first time hitting 10K per month or 10K in a month. And there absolutely was. It was like, it feels amazing. If you guys listen to rap, I listen to a lot of rap. Half of rap's talking about being rich. So you feel rich for a little bit, but at the same time, in that same moment, there's this moment at the end of that sales call that I was telling you about where I'd had this relief wash over me, but that was very sharply followed by, my camera just cut out there for some reason. It's a new phone too, anyway. That wave of relief was very quickly washed over by, okay, well, I feel broke. Now let's like hit 20 grand in a month or 25 grand in a month. And then that became my next goal right away. And what was also crazy too was like, I had this wave of emptiness wash over me after doing it, where I was like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Because like, if there's no drive or if there's no goal, then there's not much. I'm a very goal oriented person. But even then, there's nothing to go after. There's no pursuit. There's no journey. There's no nothing. So you may find that when you hit one of your revenue goals, that may happen to you. Where it happened even after I hit 5 grand a month, because I was like, if I can make 50K per year doing what I love, like I'll be happy, and that's that. And that is still true to this day. But after I hit 5K a month, I was like, I felt this like crazy emptiness, and I was like, what the hell? Like, this is like this. I just felt off and wrong, and just so empty. It's the best way I can explain it. Like, there's this void inside of me, like people will say. And that got solved by adding the 10K per month goal. And then when I hit 10K per month, it was the 20K per month goal, 20K per month, 50, and so on and so forth, right? 50, 100. And now I'm pushing for 200, right? But, a lot of people expect 10K a month to be this big crazy thing. Some people don't even bat an eye at 10K per month, and they're like, that has nothing to do with my bigger goals, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how it was for me. Like, I didn't, have this big celebration type thing. At the end of the day, you do 10 grand a month, like you have some expenses and so on and so forth. And like some of it may be owed to you on paid plans potentially. Although that wasn't the case for me. And like, it's nice though, because you get a good chunk of money, right, in a pretty short period of time. And you're like, okay, well, now if we keep this up, like, hell yeah, let's go, right? So it's a really nice experience on that side of things. But, from an internal agency standpoint as well, there are some things that I didn't really expect. And that was that, it was still pretty much just me. I wasn't, not that I expected it to be, well, I don't want to say that, but like, obviously you're not going to have some massive team when you're doing 10K per month, right? At least in North America with the economy and how expensive it is to hire people, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to have a massive team, and I didn't expect to have a massive team, but the whole business was me. The entire everything was me. And I had one guy who is an onboarding VA who was really just like an extension of me, meaning he was doing what I knew, but he was saving me a little bit of time. So all in all, the business was still absolutely me. And that was a pretty interesting experience, and it was an eye-opening experience, because then I was like, okay, if I really want to be removed from this business, I can't be looking to even make 15 or 20K per month. If I want to be removed from this business, probably going to have to push for 70, 80K per month, because then you can actually make enough money to hire a sales rep and have them be able to make good money selling your thing. Then you have enough money for an operations manager and so on and so forth. So that my goal from the beginning was really like 50 to 100K per month, kind of as like a minimum baseline. And I say from the beginning, I mean like ever since I started out in entrepreneurship. And that was still the case, but the reality really struck me there. I was like, damn, like this is all me. I have a long way to go. And it's true. And especially when you're young, I've said this before, again, a lot of you guys will think of me as old, and I'm thinking of me as old, to be honest, although you talk to someone who's 45, they say, oh, you're 24, you have all the time in the world. And honestly, that is true. But, when you're younger, time is perceived as much slower. Like right now, time accelerates constantly. And if you pay attention to it, you'll notice this. Time accelerates constantly as you age, meaning a year doesn't feel like a year feels like 8 months. And then eventually a year feels like 4 months, and so on and so forth as you get older. And I haven't experienced the full extent of it. It hasn't gotten crazy for me, but I've definitely started to notice, and from everything I hear from people who are significantly older than me, that is exactly how it works, right? Time just accelerates until you die, which is actually pretty scary, which means like you really need to get your shit together when you're young, because otherwise like you can get stuck in your ways, and then before you know it, you're 37 and you still haven't started what you wanted to do when you were 21. Right? But that being said, in this whole 10K per month topic, I was like, all right, like I really, really need to step it up. I need to crank this thing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times higher than where I'm at now. Obviously, I want to also make sure I'm consistent there. One thing that people do not realize about 10 grand a month is if you do 10 grand a month once, there's a good chance that your next month is going to be like 5K. It's possible that your next month is 0. Like I went 10, 6, 0, 6, and then I went like 25, 25, 0, 25, 25. Like that was more or less how it went for me. That's the thing. If you're averaging 10K per month, that means one month you may do 15, the next you may do 5, and that averages to 10. And that kind of like can be sketchy. It can feel sketchy, and when you're in it, it's a really weird experience. But that is really the true reality of being at 10K per month as an agency owner. Now, I do have a private scaling group for agency owners to talk about all this stuff in more depth, just to like get to know people who have complementary skill sets to you and basically buddy up, because I didn't have anybody around me when I was starting out. If that's interesting to you, you can go book a call with me in the description to learn more about that specifically. Don't have to, totally up to you. Otherwise, click whatever's on screen now, and I'll see you there.